Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Eyes Etc. podcast. Here with owner of Eyes Etc., Terry Furrh. Say hi, Terry.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello.
What a guy. Hello. So today, Terry, I want to talk about philosophy of customer service, about what goes into really solid customer service. You're in the retail game. So let's talk about your background and how that fits into how you approach customer service.
Well, I think, for me, it's always been as I'm on the other side, how do I want to be treated myself?
Right. The golden rule, right?
Yes. And I've looked at that and thought about that for years and years and years. As I started my own company, I just felt like I'm not a pushy person. I want to listen. The first thing I want to do is listen to what my customer tells me that they want. We'll discuss a lot of things of what their needs are, and then we'll come up with a plan. But I'm one of those kind of people that just really likes for them to be comfortable, because I've always thought about if they ever walk out the door and they're unhappy, they're not going to come back.
Well, that makes sense, right?
It makes total sense to me. And I think anybody in any kind of retail business, optical business, whatever business it is, would feel that way too. Now, I want them to have a comfortable experience, a good experience. I want them to understand of the what my thoughts are about what they might need, and just go from there.
Because that's what you did with me, right? When I first came in, I was wearing a completely different style of glasses for different reasons. Mostly, the word's ignorance, really. I never had anyone kind of educate me about eyewear. I have this really big busted up nose and really big head, and so I thought that meant I could only wear a certain type of frames. And we had conversations, and you actually were more educational than you were a salesman. In that scenario, right?
That is correct.
What's some of the process when someone walks in the door with an idea of what they're looking for, but what are the things you look for in them to help them in that decision-making process?
Well, let's use you for a really good example. When you do these podcasts for a variety of different people, and as I watch your podcast, I watched your head position. That was the very first thing that really stuck with me about how am I going to fit Kyle, because he has a particular head position.
Right.
And I've used that with a lot of different people. And they've often looked at me and said, nobody's ever said that to me.
And I didn't realize it till you pointed it out to me. That I always held my head back a little bit. I'm not sure why, just subconsciously.
It's subconscious.
And then after having those conversations, I try to do a better job of holding my head in a more natural position, like I'm trying to do right now. I'm working really hard at it. You mentioned it to me. I never realized it, but when I went back and watched the videos myself, you were absolutely right about it.
Well, if you look back at the old videos, you were wearing something that was relatively narrow vertically, up and down. And as you hold your head back, you basically see the majority of the bottom of the frame. And so my idea was, okay, if that's his natural position, then I've got to fit him something that's a little bit deeper vertically and have the bridge set up a little higher so I get more down at the bottom.
Much like this pair of this frame right here. And for those of you watching the video, it's pretty obvious, but those of you listening on the podcast, these are a much bigger pair of frames than I normally would have worn before.
Correct.
But they'd fit my face better and my head position a lot better because of that.
That is correct.
Second aspect, of course, being the bridge, right? Because I have a really funky, unusual bridge because I've broken my nose so many times.
Well, here's another thing, too, that I try to educate people about. Is most of the manufacturers that I deal with, as I'm looking at their product, I'm looking at the bridge structure. How is this structure built, and who of my customers can wear this?
Right.
Because I've always thought of the philosophy that it doesn't matter whether it's 150 or 1,500. If it's not functional, it doesn't work.
That makes sense.
And so I'm not all about a brand name. I'm about fit first. Because I have put things on people that were $400, $500, $600, $700, but my $250 frame fit them best.
Right.
And so again,
and just because a frame is $1,500 doesn't mean it's great.
That is right. That is correct.
Sometimes it could just be wrong, right?
That is right, and it's happened to me before.
Right.
And so I look at that a lot more diligently than I ever have in the past. Now, with some of these newer products that have come out on the line, such as titanium and surgical steel,
wood,
wood,
exotic woods, right?
they're considerably lighter weight, and so therefore now we have to look at, yes, this is going to be very comfortable, but what does their prescription tell me about what kind of frame should these lenses go in?
Right.
Because then, if we pick a lightweight frame and we've got a large correction, then I've lost the weight problem.
Right.
And so that's where I try to educate people on this is great, but we need to move into a different product, different type of lens material based on your frame selection.
Right.
And then it really is kind of up to them. I'm going to guide them as best I can. As I've always said to a lot of people, at the end of the day, it's your dollar.
Sure.
And so if we make a mistake, we fix it. Okay. So that's really kind of my philosophy on that.
So there's size, there's shape, there's fit, but there's also other considerations, right? Like color and sort of just overall style, right? Is it vintage? Is it modern? Is it edgy, right? These are all the things that go into the process, right?
That's correct.
Finding the right frame.
It's ironic how I'll have some people that'll come in and that might be in my age group, and they don't want to change much. They want to stay with the browns and the silvers and the golds and the tortoise and so forth. But they fail to remember that they're still going to have functions that might be after 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And as we've talked in the past, there are certain colors that are really not designed to be worn after 5. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't go to functions anymore, you don't wear a suit anymore, you don't really dress up anymore, then that's entirely up to you. But it's still my job to help you understand, even if you're in the working force, depending on where that is, you don't wear the same suit every day.
Nope.
You don't wear the same tie every day.
I don't always wear a suit because I range literally from very casual, casual Friday through, sports coat and then tie and then suit tie full combo even into some black tie. So that's a huge range, right? Needing a variety of different styles, right? Mm-hmm. Eyewear used to be just functional, right? Just a tool to help you see, but it still is, but it's also very much a fashion element, right?
Totally.
Very much in the identity of a person, their style, who they are. We talked about clothing, but also just who they are as a person, right? Are they fun and exciting? Are they conservative? Are they traditional, etc.? That all goes into the decision-making process, right?
That is true, and you'll often hear me a lot of times here. I try to analyze somebody a little bit as they walk in the door, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, because it might be on a day that they're not working. It might be on a casual day. They might not be working at all. So I try, again, in educating them and letting them tell me about them. How do we want to wear these? And again, I'm going to pick up something, as I've always said to them, let me pick up something that you may not pick up.
Right.
Which is really kind of fun. Yeah. Because I had a gentleman in not too long ago, and he just kept looking in the mirror going, when he meant really yes, right? He brings his sister in the next day. She agrees to everything. He would never have done that.
Right.
And as I saw him as he left, he really came over and he said, I just want you to know that I've really enjoyed this experience. He said, you have informed me about things that I've never been told before. For me, that tells me that I'm doing my job.
Yes.
And you've known me a long time. You've seen me work. To me, it's my job to continue to educate people on different types of materials, whether it be lenses or frames or styles. Fashion is best I know. Mm-hmm. So that's my take on trying to take care of people and helping them, educate them about what's out there, what's available, and what might be best or not for them.
Right. So a lot of people, when they think of retail, eyewear retail, they think of places they've seen at the mall or some of these places you see on TV, where they have all those frames just lined up against the wall, and you just come in and pick out what you want, and they take your prescription and they call you and 24 hours or 3 days or whatever the deal is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I look around this room, it's totally not what we're doing here. What's the philosophy behind how this room is set up and how you go about your sales process?
Well, my biggest philosophy is you have to, let's look at price, for instance. Everything that I have in my office, these lines are based on independent manufacturers, which means it could be a small building in Italy, which I have some companies that there might be 15 employees and that's it. And if you look at something like that, whether it's leather, whether it's titanium, whether it's wood, whatever, obviously I want to highlight that frame and allow you to see it from all angles. When you go to some of these other places, and I understand that some of the younger people that are getting in it, everything is minimalistic. I'm not that way. I don't want to walk into some place and there's a shelf and everything's lined up and it all looks the same. I want to highlight that frame. I want you to see the color, the shape, the sides. If there's any stones on it, where are those stones? That's how I look at how I, outfit my office.
So the shop is a reflection of your personality and personal style as well.
Pretty much.
Right. Which makes sense, right? Because there's place in the world for everything, right? There's a place in the world for entry level and low price point, and then there's a place for people who are looking for a experience along with the product service and continual relationship, right? Because it's not very often you don't buy a pair of glasses for 6 months because your eyes are going to get better and then you don't need them ever again, right?
That's true. That's very true.
That'd be nice if that happened. Well, maybe not for you.
Really.
It'd be for me.
No. No.
So all kidding aside, if you find in anytime you find a relationship with someone who you're buying things on a continual basis, it could be clothing, it could be furniture, automobiles are a great example, I think, and again eyewear, and I think jewelry fits into this as well. Being able to go somewhere, repeat, someone you have conversations with, maybe you don't buy the first time or the second time in, having a ongoing relationship over a lifetime is a completely different approach than come to the mall and buy the first thing that's on the shelf, right?
That's correct. Well, it's one of those situations where my office is set up where I try to make it as comfortable as possible, where people can come in and just spend however much time they need to spend. I have a lot of people come in, and I'll interact complete strangers with each other, and I've seen it a lot of times. Sometimes it's women, sometimes it's men, and to get their opinion on what we've done.
I think every time I've been in here, I've had someone ask me what I think of what they're trying on.
Exactly, and so that gets another opinion other than mine.
Right.
The other thing too is, I want people to be, when they walk out that door, number one, I want them to feel comfortable, to feel happy, to feel like they can feel comfortable about wearing what they're wearing. I also want to get to know these people. Some of my best friends have come out of this business, but I'm beginning to see, kids and grandkids of people that I've taken care of for years. Hopefully, I've been extremely blessed in that way, and people have understood that I'm not here to push them into a product. There's times where I've talked myself out of certain products.
Sure.
So again, my philosophy has always been to be honest, to be upfront, give them options. There's always an option. And people have been, I'm blessed, truly blessed with the clientele that I have.
As always, Terry, it's always interesting to have conversations with you about our approach to business, this time specifically customer service. In future episodes of the Eyes Etc. podcast, we'll talk about all types of different products related to eyewear, frames, contact lenses, getting the visit to the doctor, etc., and different philosophies that come with what you do. Appreciate you having the conversation with me today.
Well, I look forward to it. Again, I want to do I love to do this series. I want to bring in some other people, some more reps again, talk about their philosophy and their lines that they've used. And I also want to bring in another aspect of the lens side of it, getting in some reps and talk about the different types of materials and progressives and single visions and so forth like that.
I think that's one of the aspects that people definitely don't understand and maybe feel intimidated talking about. our lenses and the technology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's where you started, right? Your career started on the technical side and
That's
the lens
right.
side.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be an interesting conversation when we get to have that. And we'll bring in some experts and have some different opinions on all these different topics.
Be great.
So
Absolutely.
you guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of those future episodes. Also, make sure you're following Eyes Etc. on all the social media channels for all the interesting things about upcoming trunk shows, seasonal
Correct.
sales, new lines, new products, all the examples of people buying eyeglasses and other products and being happy about the customer service they get from Terry and Eyes
Fantastic.
Etc. So hit that subscribe button, follow us on social media. We'll see you next time on the Eyes Etc. podcast.